G'day and welcome. My name's Mitch and I've just started putting up videos on YouTube related to Australian politics, climate change, energy, the gas industry and other issues like that. And today I wanted to talk about the real reason why power prices are so high in Australia and haven't gone down. So a lot has happened in recent years when it comes to energy and things that affect energy prices, such as the Russian invasion of Ukraine, aging coal-fired power stations that are closing down or closing for maintenance, and renewable energy, which is the cheapest form of power generation. So the big question, which is always asked, if renewables are the cheapest form of power, then why aren't power bills going down? Well, this is a great question, but it's a bit more complicated than this. The pricing of the national energy market involves a lot of moving parts, such as renewable energy, but also coal and gas-fired power stations and their operating costs, the costs to actually buy and transport the fuels for those power stations, maintenance costs, transmission lines, things like that. What I didn't realize until recently, and probably what most people don't realize as well, is just how much gas prices dictate and control energy prices in Australia. In 2022, when Russia invaded Ukraine, gas prices in Australia and around the world skyrocketed. And then what followed was a big spike in Australia's wholesale electricity price as well because of this gas spike. Since then, gas prices have gone down a little bit, but they're still a lot higher than they were pre-war and pre-COVID. And the reason for this is that although gas makes up only about 17% of Australia's electricity generation, it drives roughly 50 to 90% of power prices in Australia. And that's because gas is the most expensive form of electricity generation. And so you can see here from this graph, the close correlation between East Coast gas prices in the blue and East Coast wholesale electricity prices in the orange over the last 10 to 15 years. So essentially, what's mostly causing it is gas. What the uptake of renewables in the grid have actually been doing is putting downward pressure on power prices, which would have otherwise been higher. In Queensland in 2023, wholesale prices dropped 40% thanks mostly to the increase in wind and solar, and the 100% renewables in the ACT have led to a continual drop in wholesale prices. Lower wholesale prices mean that the actual power prices will be less than what they otherwise would have been because renewables, as I said, are putting downward pressure on power prices because they're the cheapest form of electricity generation. And so going back to the role that gas plays in our overall power prices, if you watch one of my previous videos about the great gas scam, you would have seen me talk about this. But essentially, the gas industry in Australia have played a massive role in the increase of gas prices in Australia. Australia is one of the largest exporters of gas in the world, but it wasn't always this way. The first gas export terminal opened in Australia in 2014 in Gladstone in Queensland. Before our private gas companies started exporting gas to the world, the wholesale gas price in Australia was about $3 to $4 per gigajoule, which is the unit of measurement. After the gas terminal opened and we started exporting gas, or the private companies started exporting gas, the wholesale price rose to $10 over the following years, roughly tripling in price. The reason for this is because all of a sudden we were tapped into the international gas market, and so the private gas companies in Australia could sell gas at a higher price on the international market, which also meant we had to pay higher prices for our gas. What they've also done is they've locked us into this international market, which makes us more prone to these global price rises, which affects power prices overall. As we continue to transition the grid to more renewables, things will slowly get better and slowly get cheaper. In 2024, the wholesale price from fossil fuels was $137 per megawatt hours, as opposed to renewables, which was almost half of that at $71 per megawatt hours. The more renewables come into the system, the more power from the grid will get cheaper. But I personally think that a simpler solution to help people lower their power bills faster would be to help electrify more homes with solar, heat pumps, and things like that. And there is a lot of money that is currently going down the drain that could be used for this. Right now, the gas industry is paying less than half of the royalties that they should be paying for the gas that is owned by the Australian people. That's basically money for taking the gas that we own, which they're then exporting overseas and profiting from. We have lost $13.3 billion over the last 4 years to these lost royalties. If we close these loopholes and make the gas industry pay these royalties, that's billions of dollars extra per year, which we could use to help electrify homes faster. The money could be made available in the form of grants or interest-free loans to help people electrify their homes much easier. I know there is already a fund set up for this. It's the $1 billion CEFC Household Energy Upgrades Fund. I haven't used it, I'm a renter, so I don't know if it's working well or if it's working for people. But by making gas companies pay royalties, there's an extra $3.5 billion a year which could go into this fund, which could help speed up the transition for homes onto solar and things like that. Now, if you're a renter like me, it's obviously more difficult to get solar on our houses, but the rules could be changed to make it easier for renters to have solar through ways that benefit both landlords and renters to help bring down energy bills for renters as well. Because 1/3 of the country currently rents, and if your home is hooked up to gas and you're a renter, there's not really much you can do other than just keep paying the expensive gas bill and just cop it on the chin. But there is ways that we could make it better for landlords and for renters to electrify homes, which benefit renters as well. And I would love to see that. Over the last few years, I've had so many people tell me about how they've gone full solar and they've reduced their energy bills to almost zero, which I think is amazing. But it's obviously not accessible for everyone, which is where the government can step in and help people with this by making the gas industry pay what they owe in royalties. So to conclude, the reason your power bills are high is not because of renewables, like some might say, it's gas and fossil fuels. Renewables are helping to put downward pressure onto electricity prices and bring power bills down from what they otherwise would have been. We have solutions, and the one I like is better or faster electrifying homes with solar and helping people with their power bills, paid for by making the big gas companies pay what they owe in tax and royalties. If you like the sound of this, or even if you've got other ideas, leave me a comment and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future videos. Cheers.